Good evening and welcome to Raconteurs News. My name's Andy Young. Tuesday's come round all of a sudden again. Hope you've all had a great weekend, and we've got a great show lined up for you tonight. We've got one of the year's most popular guests, if not the most popular guest of the last year, making a welcome return. And before we start, I'd just like to congratulate Aid on last night's show. I thought it was a terrific show. And particularly from the point of view that there were three hosts from the station, all coming at the subject from a different angle, and there was an intelligent and informed debate where all three disagreed with each other on various points, but they all respected the other's opinion. And if we can keep going like that and keep moving forward, respecting others' opinions, and not setting out to ruin people just because you disagree with them, I think that is the way forward. So, Jason, welcome, Jason. Have you had a great weekend, pal? Oh,
I had an interesting day yesterday when I ran into David Cameron, which was very interesting.
Yeah, Dave, you ran into David Cameron. Tell us all about it, Jace.
Well, I went to I stopped at Donington Services on my rounds, and I was just walked into Donington Services, and the woman that opened the door for me, she was with this really tall geezer, and I looked at him, I thought, oh my God, that's David Cameron. And so I sort of got in his ear a little bit.
Did you get his autograph?
No, I didn't get his autograph, no. Didn't get his autograph. I just got in his ear. I just sort of like we're trying to pluck at his conscience and saying, I hope you can't sleep at night for all suffering that you've caused and all this sort of stuff. And then as he went right to the Costa Coffee and I went left to the toilet, I told him I was just nipping off for a Tory.
Well, I'm sure he'll be listening tonight, so he'll be pleased that you've given him a shout out.
Yeah, I'm sure he will be, but yeah, it's it was interesting anyway, and at least he knows what I think of him now, so that's all that matters. He
didn't say you sound a bit like that Jason off Raconteurs News, did he?
Well, he turned around and asked me to sign something for him and asked for a selfie, and I said, no, listen, I'm not having a selfie with you. You know, people think I'm a pig then, won't they?
Oh, yes. Well, that's enough for the wonderful world of Jason. Let's move on to tonight. What can you say? Last show was a real head spinner, and I'm sure we're going to get pretty much something to compare with that tonight. Welcome back, Chris Spivey. Welcome, Chris.
Welcome, Chris.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So, yeah, so what's been happening with you? I mean, it's a year since we spoke, Chris. It doesn't seem like a year. It seems about 3 weeks to me. But I see you've been in and out of courts and various restrictions placed on you. Bearing in mind you've obviously restricted in what you can talk about, would you like to tell us what's been going on with you?
Yeah, well, the press was very nice to me, weren't they?
Yes, as always.
Public enemy number one. Well, since we last spoke, we finally had the court case for the images. And for anybody who don't know, I was arrested in 2004, in October 2014, for allegedly having illegal images on my computers, which I knew I didn't have. Turns out a lot of them were planted, which was all sort of like brushed under the carpet before I even got charged. And I ended up being charged with 21 photos that were made up of Led Zeppelin album covers and Graham Overton paintings, and which I'd only used for to show what the elite class as art, what normal people would class as child pornography, but they was all perfectly legal, and the police knew from 2013 the reason they was on there, and that I had them on there, and they did nothing about it. Anyway, when we come...
Sorry, Chris, before you go on, we've had a couple of... I've just had a text message from my wife saying that we can hardly hear your guest, and she's working out at the gym and listening to us live, so... and Ada, I think, has put in the chat room as well that you're very quiet, so I don't know whether it's at our end or whether you can sort of lean forward and get closer to your mic or something.
Hang on. How's that?
That sounds a bit better. You just pushing a bit more on the VU meter there, Chris.
Yeah, hang on.
Oh. We seem to have lost him.
Oh, was Chris dropped off the call? There we go.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Chris.
Yeah, excellent. Any better?
Yeah, that sounds a lot clearer now, Chris. Thanks.
Yeah, that was brilliant. That.
Right. So where was we? Yeah. So when it came to court in August 2015, before we even stepped into court, they dropped that down to one image, which was Nan Golding's Clara and Edith belly dancing, which is owned by Elton John and part of a set of 25, which has twice been deemed in British courts as legal, and one image that I'd never seen or been questioned about or anything, which was supposedly of bestiality. I didn't get to see that image until March 2016, and then it was quite obvious that it was a knock-up photo. It'd been knocked up by them, yet it still didn't meet the test as an obscene image of pornography.
Okay.
But they kept dragging on and dragging it on. So then before the actual court case, which was May, I think, the 20th of May, if I remember correctly, the night before, to show how ludicrous this court case was, I did a Google search of this image, this Nan Golding image, and I put a screenshot of the Google search that I'd done, and it showed about 9 images of it that came up without even going into Google Images. And that's how legal it is. You can buy it on eBay and you can buy it on Amazon. Yet they were still intent on charging me and go for the court case. So I got to court the next day, and they adjourned the case because I put this screenshot on, which they then classed that they charged me with distributing an illegal image of a child, despite the fact that you could buy it on eBay and Amazon, and all these came up. In the meantime, one of the fellows who someone who's a moderator on here, he put the image on Facebook the year before when I was first arrested, and he'd been arrested over it, and he'd been on bail, and after 3 months he went back and they said, no, as you said, the image was legal. It was a legal image. So, there's no charges brought there. Yet Essex police wouldn't have this. So, when it finally comes to court in November, we get there, and so just these 2 images, and now a social worker told me that even if you had 20 Class A photos on your computer, you wouldn't get charged, because it wouldn't be in the public interest. Yeah, here I was up in High Court, Crown Court, for one image of Nan Golding, distributing that image via a Google search, and one knocked up photo, which didn't even meet the test. So we get in there, and straight away the judge has a pop at the prosecutor, who then asks for an adjournment. He goes off and comes back 15 minutes later, and they offered no evidence. So I was cleared of all charges there, not guilty on all 3 counts. The first count being the Nan Golding, the second count being the knock-up, and the third one being the distributing the screenshot of a Google search. It must cost them well over £1 million, a 2-year investigation and whatnot. And then in January, just gone, I had my appeal for the harassment. Mm-hmm. Now, had I got a fair trial, I would have had no grounds for appeal, but obviously I did, and the appeal went ahead. I say 2 years after, 2.5 years after I'd first been arrested for it. And I didn't get a fair trial again, because I got there and there was only the judge and one magistrate. Now, he meant to have two magistrates there, so the judge said, you know, we'd been let down at the last minute and whatnot, they couldn't find a replacement. And the only person it affected was me, really, by adjourning again. So my barrister came over and said, like, you know, are you happy to go ahead? So I said, no, I'm not. You know, I'll wait until we got the full crew there, and I don't care whether it's another 6 months, another year, or what. It didn't matter to me, you know. So my barrister said something. He said, no, Mr. Spivey wants to adjourn until, you know, two magistrates and the judge can be there. And he wouldn't have it. He overruled it, despite it only being me affected. So I was straight away at a disadvantage there.
Is that what you're finding, Chris? At every point when you're trying to defend yourself against these offences, these accusations that are really serious. I mean, they are serious. Not the accusation in themselves, but what they're charging you with and what have you. Are you finding that you're just being blocked at every single level?
Every single step of the way. You know, I can't get solicitors. The solicitors I've got, they won't answer important points that we've raised. You know, barrister definitely didn't do his best. You know, he didn't explore things that I'd asked him to explore. You know, and he was very limp. On top of that, they had probably the most experienced barrister in the country who also...
Sorry, can you give us some examples of the things that you asked him to explore that he wouldn't explore or he didn't?
It's a little bit difficult for me to do that because of the restraining order in place.
Right, okay.
But you know, he could have brought up things against the witnesses and he would have tied them up, but he didn't. They was let off the hook. And I say I was vilified in the, you know, in every single newspaper and on the TV news and whatnot as being some kind of poison troll.
Yes, I did notice the newspapers and all the media, really the mainstream, they can't mention your name without the word tattooed before it. Yeah. Which is obviously setting people up with preconceived ideas about what they're doing. What occurred to me, Chris, actually, is we cover a lot of people's court cases, and we hear so often that people who go in and try again to make their point in court end up not being able to bring any further court cases because they get classed as a vexatious litigant. Yet this is what the CPS seems to be doing to you on a repeat basis, yet they seem to have a carte blanche to do it as many times as they want.
Yeah, well, once again, I say I've got grounds to appeal again, but I wouldn't be able to use the same solicitor, not that I'd want to anyway, and I'm back on the blacklist. Now, for people who don't believe a blacklist exists, believe me, it does. I cannot get a solicitor for love nor money. And on top of that, I've also had they've dealt with my police complaint now, finally, although they should have dealt with it back then, and my complaints against the police are much more serious than the harassment charge. And they've admitted that the search of my home was illegal, which means that, like, I was convicted on evidence that shouldn't have been allowed.
Inadmissible. Surely, if they've ruled that the search was illegal, then any evidence gained from that search is inadmissible.
It should have been. It should have been. Now, I said this right from the start. The first thing, when I finally managed to get solicitor for the investment, I said to him that it was, you know, gained illegally, and he said, no, but well, the judge won't take no notice of that. He just said, well, it's got now, we got the evidence, and that's all there is to it. And I wasn't allowed to go ahead with that defence. But that is right. I say the search was illegal, which means they was trespassing on my property. They stole my property. Yet although they've admitted to that, they're saying there won't be any disciplinary action against the 4 thugs who did it. They'd just be given advice and on future searches. But on top of it, made no mention of the fact that the search was at 2 o'clock. And we're talking about for misdemeanor here, 2 o'clock in the morning, which violates Code B as well, but that's not mentioned in the complaint. And a lot of it is skipped over, but the very fact that it's been admitted that it was an illegal search, like you say, it should have made the court case null and void.
Yeah, it would have done if you'd have been somebody who could afford it. Let's just say it happened to somebody who lives in a big mansion and whatever, and could afford a high-class barrister and be able to afford to hire somebody perhaps that they know and trust. They would have easily been able to get off that at any point. This just shows that the representation that you're getting is right at the very bottom. These are the people that are just simply doing what they're told, just to claim the books.
Yeah, that's not exactly true either, because the barrister that I was given is supposedly one of the top barristers. Now, we're talking about a misdemeanor here, don't forget. But they was using probably the top prosecutor in the country, who also sits as a part-time Crown Court judge, Tony Abel. And he's used to dealing with like murder cases and large-scale frauds and whatnot, not the harassment charges. And I was appointed, the barrister that was secured for me wasn't my original barrister, who I was very happy with. But I was appointed this Mohammed Bashir, and they say he supposedly deals with murder cases and high-end fraud and terrorism and whatnot. And if that's the best he do, I don't know how he got his reputation. Let's be honest. But I got grounds to appeal on that I wasn't defended properly, and I said there was only the one magistrate which I objected to, and that was overruled, despite it only being me that was affected by it. But no one will entertain it at the moment.
That's great. Chris, could you, I'm really sorry about this, man, but it appears that we've now got so the listeners can hear you. Could you just do a very brief recap on what you've covered there for anyone who didn't hear you? Because I understand they were having difficulties.
Right, but you can hear me now, all right now, yeah?
Yeah, we can hear you fine now, Chris.
Yeah. Which part do you want me to go over? The bit about the images?
Yes, please, if you would.
Yeah. That came about, I was first arrested on the 30th of July 2014 on suspicion of harassment. Now that arrest has been admitted that an illegal search took place. But I've only just got that information, obviously. Didn't have any time, although I protested. And off the back of that, because they snatched my computers or stole them, in effect, they arrested me again on the 6th of October. But what it was all a ploy to get my grandson taken into care. Now, anybody who does believe that, I suggest they read my article Harassed and start there, because that has all the concrete evidence of such.
Yeah, sure. I do remember going back to that time. I do believe I remember reading those, and they are quite compelling. So I would recommend anybody go back and read those, because what Chris went through is a nightmare, weren't it?
Oh, yeah, and the nightmare didn't end. I say they took it right to court. It finally came to court 2.5 years later. The judge had a right to go to prosecution, and she actually said her words were something along the lines of, Mr. Spivey may well be a pain in the arse or a pain in the backside, but that is no reason to try and shut him up by bringing criminal charges against him. And so, she more or less said, in so many words, that it was a malicious prosecution, which it was. So it's totally malicious, without a doubt.
You're eye candy.
Okay, yes, thanks for that, Chris. I think that's brought us back up to speed, more or less, yeah.
Apart from, I'm still actively trying to get a solicitor. But on top of that, they're trying to cripple me financially. Mm-hmm. At the original trial for the investment, I was given £2,000 prosecution costs to pay, which then I had no way of paying. Mm-hmm. But it was deferred until the appeal was over. Now the appeal started on the 16th of January of this year. On the 13th of January, they issued a warrant for my arrest without bail for non-payment of the £2,000 fine, despite the fact that the appeal hadn't even started at that time, which I didn't know. No one told me because I had no demand for the money or anything. And I didn't know this until after the appeal, they slapped another £2,000 on it, which was vindictive. When, you know, how dare you appeal against not getting a fair trial the first time? And they wrote to me about this £2,000. So when I phoned them up tonight to say like I needed time to pay it, that's when they informed me that this arrest for my warrant without bail had been issued.
So when they were dealing with the issue of costs, did they not take into account your personal circumstances and your finances? Because that's what they normally do. I mean, that seems to be like a footballer who'll get £2,000 costs on a speeding ticket or a drink drive charge or something like that. Not you, Chris. No disrespect.
I had a way of paying it, but the judge at the original trial, when he should have been magistrate, by the way, but it hired a judge, Woolard. He said that, you know, let your fans pay it, is what he said. Well, you know, it'd be nice if I got that kind of money in donations.
I'm sure that would go down well if a footballer who on a drink drive charge got a fine and then they said, let your fans pay it.
They're not even getting that. But the thing is, I didn't get any fine. It wasn't a fine, it was prosecution costs. According to the law, apart from in special circumstances, they're not allowed to impose the prosecution costs if you don't get fined. That's something. If you don't get a prison sentence over 2 years or something, and you don't get fined, they're not allowed to impose prosecution costs, except for in special circumstances. So I suppose they'd say, well, given the nature of the court case, maybe it was special circumstances, but that certainly didn't apply to the appeal. You know, because it had already gone ahead once. So really, then prosecution costs are should be null and void. Well, I still haven't paid them, but I only haven't paid them because when I found out the warrant for my arrest, I phoned the bailiff up, and he said he was surprised at how much the prosecution cost was as well. He said, I don't want to come in because if I come to you, the warrant says you've got to arrest me and there's no bail. So he made a call to the court and he got me in 2 days later. Sort of answer why he hadn't been paid. I say I knew nothing about it. And when I got there, there'd been a mad collection and I borrowed a bit of money because I thought I was up to it something here that's like slinging me in prison, like, you know. And so I said between my readers and a bit of money that I borrowed and whatnot, and a bit of money I put aside for my car tax and the car MOT, I managed to raise the 2,000, which certainly surprised the usher. But because of that, I didn't even end up going into court. The usher sort of acted as a go-between between the magistrates in the court and me outside the court. And she said, "What about the other 2,000?" This from the appeal, which I said, "Well, I'm going to have to pay that like weekly because I haven't got it. I ain't got no income." So I said, "But I'm already in contact with the fines department about this, and they've sent me out a means form." So she said, "I'll fill a means form in here." which I couldn't do properly because you wanted my national insurance number and whatnot, which I didn't have, and things like that. So I told her, I said, I can't fill it out here. She said, don't worry about it, don't worry about all that, right? So I filled that in, and she took it, and I've heard no more since. So I don't know what's happening about that.
So what's the state of play now? Are you in limbo? Are you have you been exonerated? I mean, what's the state of play? What's your next move, or what's their next move?
Well, I don't know. I say I've heard no more. They had me filling this means form for this £2,000 that I still owe. Although I say by according to the law, I shouldn't owe it, but I've heard no more about that. The conviction for the harassment stands, and unless I can get a solicitor to take it to the next court up, and there's no evidence. They offered no evidence on the images, which was right because I had nothing on there. I'm not into that kind of thing anyway. But even if I wasn't stupid enough to keep it on my hard drive, knowing that they watch every move I make.
Mm.
Yeah, of course. So at the minute, things are stable in that they're kind of. They're not hassling you as much as usual at the minute, if you like, Chris.
Well, we only talked about a few weeks ago here now. I said the appeal ended on the 20th of January, I think it was. Right. And then we had all this palaver. So it was 2 weeks ago I was up in court. All this, I say this warrant that shouldn't even have been issued. And I still owe the £2,000, but I've heard nothing more. The other £2,000. I've heard nothing more back from the courts about that. So I really don't know what's happening. But
no,
so go on, Andy.
No, you go, Jason.
I was just going to say, and on top of that, you had the problems with the Gofundme page.
Oh yes, yeah. Someone set up a Gofundme page. I say when they learned about this warrant, and that got closed down. It didn't get closed down until it started. First couple of days was slow, and then all of a sudden it sort of took off, and there was a lot of donations in, and it well past the £1,000 mark, and then they thought, this isn't right, this isn't what's meant to happen, so that shut down. So we opened another one, or this woman who wrote the GoFundMe page, she opened another one with a rival firm, and they shut that down. But that's just been allowed to carry on, so it's open again now. But that's the kind of thing that I get all the time. I mean, they started a petition. Someone started a petition for me, saying I've got my right to free speech and whatnot. And that started really taking off, and it was getting a lot of signatures. So that was shut down with no reason, no explanation whatsoever. It just sort of disappeared off of the face of the earth, like it'd never been there. I get that all the time. My mail gets half my mail I don't get.
That's no bad thing, really, is it?
Well, it depends what it's for. In one way, it's not. In the other way, I say if they'd been writing to me about this £2,000 from the first lot, instead of issuing a warrant for my arrest, I could have said, well, it's not due until after the appeal, which hadn't even started when the warrant was issued. So, in one way, it's not. In another way, they can say, oh yeah, we sent you this, we sent you that, we're giving you all
this, sure.
and now we're arresting you, and that's that.
Yeah, was it the fact that the GoFundMe was being interfered with that spurred you on to get other methods of raising that money, Chris?
No. I say that the GoFundMe was set up. I didn't know anything about that until it was set up.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, because the only way that I can keep the site going, and this is the only way. People think different, but they're there. They don't know what they're talking about. My site cost me nearly £300 a month, and that's the only way we can keep that because we pay for a server. Mm-hmm. Now I'm not a whiz with computers and whatnot. Hence, I have a tech guy who runs the site for me. And but we've moved from England to Russia to try and stem the flow of attacks, and that did nothing. So we moved from Russia to Iceland, and that still didn't stem the attacks. And they said the only way you're going to stop these, and when I'm talking about attack, we're talking about the only people with them capabilities are the intelligence services. Mm-hmm. You know, we get 6 million DDoS attacks a week. Which meant that no one could get on there, and all my terabytes were just getting used up just like that, you know. So the site was offline. The only way we could do this was the Icelandic host said, "Go on your own server." So we set up a deal, and it cost me £300 a month, but it's untouchable. The site's untouchable now. In fact, what they did what the security services did afterwards was actually attack the firm. The firm's called Orange. It's nothing to do with the Orange telephone lot. They started attacking them because they couldn't get me on this server. And we have a guarantee from our Icelandic hosts that nothing will be removed from my site, no matter what kind of pressure is applied on them by the British government or any other government. At the moment, English sites, English hosts, and from other parts of the world, a government can complain about something, and if the hosts don't remove it from one of the sites that they're hosting, they can be fined and, you know, held liable for it. But my Icelandic hosts have given me a guarantee that nothing will ever be removed from my site. So it's pretty much untouchable. But for that kind of commitment and whatnot, and keep it accessible, it's costed me nearly £300 a month to make to raise. And the donation, on top of that, I don't, despite what the press would have you believe, I do not claim benefits, no benefits whatsoever, not even housing benefits. Mm-hmm. So on top of the £300 a month site fees, I have to live as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm entirely dependent on donations. Yeah. And it just wasn't enough coming in to cover them. So we've been looking at other ways to raise money, and someone came to me and said, you know, how about we go with these e-books? So what we're doing now is eventually all the articles that are written will be for sale as e-books, although they'll still be free to access on the site. But it's sort of like if someone thinks, you know, I can't donate £2 or whatever, it's not enough, then they can sort of buy an e-book and that, and they're getting something to keep. Even if I jack it in, it'll always be there, you know, they'll always have a record of it and whatnot. And at the same time, it's helping me to continue, you know. And plus all new major articles will be for sale as an e-book a month before they're available for free on here. So how that's going to go, I don't know, because it's only just started so far. So good. I know there's been a few teething troubles, but hopefully that'll sort of bring in enough to cover the site, and the other donations will be enough, hopefully, to cover my, you know, living, day-to-day living expenses.
So these e-books, what are people going to be getting for the money? What are you writing about at the moment?
At the moment, I'm writing something I'm quite excited about, actually. It's the first going to be the first of three. This one is about murders, high-profile murders and kidnappings and rapes and whatnot, or events that have happened since the late 1950s right up to present. And I can link them all together. Every single one of them isn't what it appears to be. And when I say every single one, I'm meaning every single one from the Moors murders, 7/7, Madeleine McCann, every single big over-reported on event that's taken place since the 1950s. I can link them all together and link them strongly. That's the first part. I should have that boxed off, hopefully, within the next couple of weeks now. Part 2 will be about organised crime, British organised crime, since around about the 1930s, 1940s, the Spivey brothers and whatnot, right through to modern times, which once again I can prove that none of it happened like we are told it happens. The government most definitely controls all organised crime. And the third part will be about the alternative media, because once again I can prove that most of them who are writing in the alternative media are wrong-uns. I mean, really, basic common sense to tell you that anyone who's in the alternative media and living the high life and whatnot and has no money troubles must be getting finance somewhere else, because I've certainly got no money, and I'm getting lots of hassle that no one else is getting, and you've got to ask yourself why. Well, I'm going to show you why. That'll be the first part. I'm also writing the third and final part of the Diana trilogy, which is quite near to completion as well. Which the first part, Genesis, that is the first available ebook, which is on sale now. Which I say that once again that should cause quite a stink. Incidentally, I'm more convinced than ever. I think last time we was on there, we talked about Diana, and I said that she'd never existed as such, other apart from photographs and a series of actresses or people who played her part, hence the ever-changing face of Diana over the years. And I now have no doubt whatsoever in my mind that Diana Spencer never existed.
Wow. That's certainly going to be difficult for people to swallow.
I can appreciate that, but all you've got to do, I think I've done more than enough to prove it on the first two parts already, and I say the first part's nearing completion now. But on top of that, there's a break-off, an offshoot of the Diana trilogy called Where's That Leave Madeleine? Because the people involved with Madeleine McCann are also very involved with the Diana case as well. When I say the Diana, I'm talking about the accident the night of the 30th of August. Because
the whole book, you mean? You're talking about the book, her life, which if
her life, you've got to put it into compartments. Her childhood, then her early life and the early years of marriage, and then the later years of her marriage, and then the accident itself is a different scenario. Now,
if she didn't ever exist, then that was a script that somebody wrote right from the very beginning.
Yes, yeah,
to the very end. So when you encapsulate that, if she didn't exist as a human being, then she did exist, obviously, as a script. So it's just a script. Is that what you're saying?
You will find that it's not just Diana who doesn't really exist. Up to nearly half of our MPs don't exist either. They are played by other people. And I say all the evidence is there on my website to show this. Same with Madeleine McCann. Madeleine McCann never existed, without a doubt, without a single doubt. And I say that I've already gone a long way to proving that in my article, where does that leave Madeline? And it will be finally conclusively proved, should I say, in my the first of this new trilogy called Bookends, in the first part of that.
So, what's going on then? If there's who's writing this script? All these people, is it just? I just can't. I'm just.
It's all about control and all about money. Now, you look how much Madeline McCann has raised through books and through police investigations. I mean, this last police investigation that they've now closed down, which was started in 2012, has cost millions and millions, yet there's been no real investigation. All we've heard about arrests are imminent and whatnot, and yet they've done nothing that the Portuguese didn't do in the first place. Yet, so who got that 12 million? It went in someone's pocket, you know, the money that's raised from books and donations and whatnot. I mean, I've just uncovered what I call a cancer con, and that's all got to do with GoFundMe pages. You'll see these high profile cases in the newspaper with the GoFundMe link at the bottom of them. But I prove in my article Sick Benefits and Sick Benefit Addendum that they're a con. They're a con. These children don't exist, and people are pocketing money. And when we're talking about money, you're talking about, you know, well in excess of £500,000 at a time once it gets mentioned in the mainstream media.
Well,
that's some.
Yeah, go on.
That's some serious money that you're talking about there, Chris.
You talked about millions, and then on top, it's not just the money; it's also about the control. They all have an agenda to them, you know. I mean, you look how popular Diane was, and whatnot, and how she was sort of portrayed as the people's princess and whatnot, and it's all about control. The royal family, without a doubt. I mean, all these bollocks about the Mohammed Al-Fayed. Incidentally, he's another person that doesn't really exist. He exists as in such. He's played by his brother-in-law, Adnan Khashoggi, you know, the arms dealer. He is Mohammed Al-Fayed, without a doubt. And all this talk about the you know, feuding between the Queen and Mohammed Al-Fayed, it's just total rubbish. It's put out there to give the story legitimacy, but to keep people from finding the real truth, shall we say.
Yeah, Adnan Khashoggi, he's the man that married Jackie Kennedy, as was. Apparently, he was given her as a trophy wife for his part in the JFK.
You're thinking about Onassis, aren't you?
Oh, yes, sorry, I'm getting the two mixed up. My apologies, Mr. Onassis.
Khashoggi was once the richest man in the world. He supposedly, or Mohammed Al-Fayed supposedly married his sister, but I say Khashoggi and Al-Fayed, they're one and the same, without a doubt. That's why you don't hear so much about Khashoggi no more, because his persona Al-Fayed is in the news a lot more, and Khashoggi now is virtual recruits. Next question.
Hey, sorry. Bit distracted there.
I'd finished. I'd peaked.
Go on, Andy.
Yeah, so, we've seen that. I mean, it's quite difficult to proceed with you because we're in a position we're not normally in with guests. There's so many things that we dearly love to talk about, but we can't. It's quite a frustrating position. I mean, it must be hell for you, Chris, because there are so many things out there that are really important subject, but you just got your hands tied behind your back.
Well, it's mainly the one, but you know, it gets frustrating. It's frustrating in a way because it's so unbelievable, but that's how they get away with it, because it is so unbelievable that it's beyond most people's comprehension. But I've done this job now for 4 years, 7 days a week, every single waking hour. There is, you know, in that 4 years, and like it or not, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, I've become an expert on it. And without a doubt, I say Diana never existed, Madeleine McCann never existed. Most of our MPs don't exist. They're just other MPs in disguise, shall we say? Which is all there for people to see. But it's too momentous, too big for people to be able to accept it until you see as a whole. And this is the point of these bookends. What these three not articles, because let's call them exposés, because they bring them all together, and then people can see how they link, and then they will see how they got away with it all this time. It's quite unbelievable, but true all the same.
What about high-profile cases such as Jill Dando? What about did she exist? And I think I remember last time we talked about Sarah Payne as well, didn't we?
Jill Dando, like I just said to you, the Madeleine McCann and Diana are very closely linked. Now, Jill Dando was one of those who played Diana. There was about at least five who played Diana, and Jill Dando was one of them. On top of that, the detective who balls up the Dando investigation, Redwood, he was the detective who's been on this last Madeleine McCann, in charge of this last Madeleine McCann investigation, you know, telling us that he's going to arrest 3 people very shortly who never materialised. So you've got that connection there. You've got the fellow who went to prison for it, and then what's his name? I forget his name. His name escapes me.
Barry George.
Barry George was also the reporter for Mondo Rat, or Ra, as it spelled R-A-T, but it's pronounced Ra apparently. Who was sort of billed as the leader of the pack, as in the paparazzi, who hounded Diana on the last day. But no paparazzi hounded Diana on the last day, which is proved in the second part of the Diana trilogy, called Night of the Living Dead. There was no paps. In fact, it's quite brilliant, the way it's been done, because all the CCT evidence is fabricated and taken from different stages during the day, which I say again is proved in the Night of the Living Dead. But on top of that, it all pyramids up, what we call pyramid up, and for some reason all the who I call the monster elite, all their photographs and videos have to do this now. We're talking about a real feat of genius to do this. And what pyramid up means is you can draw a diagonal line from one side of a photo to the other, anywhere you like, and it will hit strategic points along the way, and you keep drawing these diagonal lines, and what you just end up with a sheet of very small pyramids. Well, you know what the pyramids represent anyway. But you can also do it with all the CCTV evidence in the Diana case. You know, the pilot, when you can take a screenshot, you can stop anywhere in the CCTV footage, take a screenshot of it, and it will all pyramid up perfectly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But to do that is well beyond the capabilities of a normal person.
Yeah, fair comment, Chris. It's certainly a bit out there. We've got a question here, and I think it's perhaps a little bit of a clutching at straws question, but Mithrin's asking from the chat room, Does Chris have any dirt on Giles Brandreth? And I think there probably ought to be a please with that question.
I'm going to say again.
Giles Brandreth.
No, I haven't. Not at the moment, no.
Oh, well, it's a shame because I'm pretty sure Mithrin's convinced with beyond doubt that he's behind everything that's going on in the world.
He could well be. Someone's got to be, haven't they?
Yeah.
And you look at the government and things like that, and they're just they're just really actors playing a part, really. I mean, you know, how can if representing a seat or constituency is a full-time job, how can they be cabinet ministers as well? Where would they get the time to do it? You know. So
can I ask you a question, Chris? Yesterday, I thought I'd bumped into former Prime Minister David Cameron at Donington Services. Now, did I bump into him, or did I bump into an actor playing him?
Well, yeah. David Cameron plays many parts. He's Andrew Roberts, who's a historian, without a doubt. He's now the name escapes me. You know the Candy Brothers. They've just been involved in a high-profile court case, and it's against this fellow, and I forget his name, but he's Cameron as well. Cameron is just an actor, without a doubt. Oh. Without a doubt. A very, very rich actor. But they all play multiple roles. Whether they're going to play multiple roles for reasons to keep the secret, if you like. You know, that they can't expose these things because they took part in them. You know.
But if they're paid so much, which they playing the British Prime Minister, I would imagine he's got a decent amount of pay to it. If they're paid so much, why do they need multiple roles?
I say but he's not just earning roles as Cameron. He's earning plenty of money as Andrew Roberts. I say who's a famous historian, a Zionist. You know, totally in support of Israel and whatnot. You know, he makes money off his books that way. This guy, and the name is I'm terrible with names. Anyone who knows me will know that. This new fella who I just discovered that he is, he's a businessman. Moved in the money markets and whatnot. So there's money coming out of that left, right, center. I mean, you look at the Prime Minister's wage, and it isn't particularly good, shall we say, compared to a lot of jobs, you know, say, you know, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner. And, you mean, well, how's he a multi-millionaire, like, you know, and because it's because money's coming in from other ways. And when you can take the Madeleine McCann investigation, at least 12 million, and I would say that was a very, very conservative figure. There was no investigation. There was only the illusion of an investigation because there was nothing to investigate. So that £12 million, where's that gone? You know.
Fair comment. And when you mention about the councils, there's something very strange going on there. That, you know, the councils are all corporations. They're not what they seem. You know, it's all one big illusion, isn't it, Chris?
Everything is, and it's all about making money, and it's all about controlling us and taking away our freedom and our rights.
Well, I know where I was going with the council thing. Most council chief executives are on a salary that's 2 or 3 times the Prime Minister's. So
exactly, and even then they're not, you know, what you call super rich. But you look at how they live and whatnot, and you think, how can they afford that? You know, how can they afford that? There's money coming, but there's money coming in. Everything's a fraud. They're all scams. I say right down to cancer, which just all I say to people: read sick benefit and sick benefit addendum. And there's an article coming out tomorrow or Thursday, which is a third part now because there's been further information come to light on it, and it is all a any high profile. When I say high profile, I mean featured in its own article in the mainstream media newspapers. You got to take it as a con, because who chooses what person? I mean, what cancer affects supposedly at least 1 in 3 people now. So why do these sort of people get singled out to have their GoFundMe pages made high profile? And once they do go high profile, you're looking at £500,000 upwards, which isn't to be sniffed at.
No, well, we are, I think, rightfully angered at the constant celebrity figureheads within the cancer industry, because we're fully aware, and we try and give it as much airtime as possible, that there are so many natural remedies out there. It does seem that nature creates a cure for every ill. And, there's people treating cancer with diet, with baking soda, with molasses, with Essiac tea, with cannabis oil. There's just so many different ways to treat it, and yet we're constantly told the only way is cut it off, burn it out with radiation, or poison it. And
exactly, which is killing people. You're more likely to die from chemotherapy than you are from the cancer. My dog, my Jessica here, she's 8 years old, and must be 6 months ago, she collapsed outside in my bed. I thought she had a heart attack, to be honest. I thought she was dead. Anyway, took her to the vets, and it turns out she's got cancer of the spleen, very advanced tumour. And the vet said, the vet was going to, say, do you want to put down now, sort of thing. And I said, well, is she in any pain? And she said, no. So I said, well, how will I know when she is? Apart from, I don't want her to get to the stage where she's yelping. And she said, no, it won't happen. She said, what will happen is the tumour will rupture, and she will bleed internally, and she just go straight off her food, and she'd be very docile and dopey-like. And she said, when that happens, then bring her back and we'll put her down. Well, I said that was at least 6 months ago. I've been treating her. She said the vet gave her 2 months maximum, and she stressed maximum. That's how advanced this tumour was. I've been treating her, and 6 months later, she's better than ever. She goes over the park every morning with my 2 younger dogs, running around like she hasn't done for years and years,
That's fabulous news, Chris. I've just noticed we've got to the end of the first hour, so it's only fitting. We've got our most popular guest of the year on. We've got to do something a bit special, so everybody's been asking, and they're a bit worried about his broken organ, but he's soldiered away, beavered away, and we finally got a new tune from Heath West. Thanks, Heath. I've had a listen today. I'm really loving it. So we'll be back in just under 4 minutes. If you can hang on, Chris.
I can, yeah. I'm going to get myself a drink while we're off.
Okay, we'll be back shortly. And welcome back to Raconteurs News, this Tuesday evening on Autonomous Media, where we've been joined by Chris Spivey. Fascinating first hour. But before we go into the second hour, I just want to say that when we finish at 10 p.m, we've got Happy Hour coming up with Not Dr. Tamara and Tina. And I was privileged enough to sit in on the recording. No, hang on. It's not the recording. It's going to be the live one. So tonight they're talking about happy diet. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Always a few laughs with those two, and quite a light end to the evening. So looking forward to that. But back to tonight, we've got Jason and we've got Chris. Welcome back, fellas.
Well, I'm here.
Hey all.
So, we've got an hour left to go. Chris, where would you like to go with this, man?
Okay, any way you like.
Well, I tell you what, from my point of view, can I just give you my point of view? I I find it very easy to believe that some of these high-profile stories are not how they seem, and how they're taken out of context, and perhaps somebody scapegoated into being convicted of them and things like that. What I do have a problem with is that there seems to be a lot of people that don't exist that are in high-profile positions. Can you understand how difficult, especially with our conditioning? I mean, you might very well be absolutely correct. I'm just wanting to sort of. Can you give some examples of what you've done to find out that these people? Is it facial photograph?
It's taken only half of my time is probably spent writing, maybe even less than that. The rest of the time is done researching, and in that research, I look at thousands and thousands and thousands of photographs. To the extent now I can spot a Photoshop just like that, which nobody else seems to do. Can I send things over here to you? Pictures of?
Yeah, of course you can. Chris.
Because you say hi, give you sort of examples. Let's put Anne Frank. Anne Frank was Princess Margaret. And
wow.
I'm just wondering how I can send that to you. Other people can go to my article, Who the Fuck Are You? Mm-hmm. Where all the photographic proof is there, and this is without a doubt. And Frank, her mother was played by the Queen Mother, and Otto Frank was who was he played by? I think he was played by someone else who was really famous, big in name at the time, as was Prince Philip's mother, who was supposedly mad. She was played by I think, if I remember rightly, it was Edward's wife, not Mrs. Simpson, the other one, the one who changed the Windsor's name. His missus, he's a half-faced looking woman, and I say it's all there. And I don't just look at one photo and say, oh yeah, that's such and such a person. I check and double check, and if the photos aren't available, then I'll put a word of caution. But if you look at Anne Frank next to Princess Margaret, there's no doubt whatsoever. I'm not sure how I send them over here, over to you.
Well, don't worry about that, Chris. What we can do is we can link to your article in the write-up on the post-show blog, and folks can find it that way. I've put a link in the chat room to your site. They'll be able to find the article you're talking about there if they want to look at it as we're talking. Yeah.
Cressida Dix, the new Metropolitan Police Commissioner, she was, without doubt, she was Sean Jenkins' missus. Sean Jenkins being the one who was convicted for the murder of his foster
Billy Joe Jenkins.
That's the one. Billy Joe Jenkins is Susie Lamplugh. You look at Billy Joe Jenkins' photo next to Susie Lamplugh, you see. But Sean Jenkins is also the bodyguard, Diane's bodyguard who was injured. Trevor Rhys Jones.
Susie Lamplugh, that was the estate agent that disappeared.
Yeah, you look at her and a photo of her, a photo of Billy Joe Jenkins next to her. Now,
Billy Joe Jenkins was only 13, and Susie Lamplugh were, I think, at least in the late 20s, and she was a lot before Billy Joe Jenkins.
Yeah. Photographs are timeless. And now we're talking about years and years and years of planning, hence the Diana life story. You can have these people are probably still alive, and they're photographed through the years, if you like. And when you talk about, you can look at a photo of the Queen Mother as a girl, and the photo is like high resolution, crystal clear. and you're talking about sometime in the 1800s that was taken. So advanced photography has been around for a long, long time. And I say these people like Madeleine McCann, whoever plays them, he's probably still alive, and they're just photographed for the years. So the fact that Susie Lamplugh was so much older than Billy Joe Jenkins makes no difference. Still the same person being photographed. Don't have an age to them, if you like. Or the people who are photographed don't have an age to them. And they can be brought out at whatever stage. All I say, you just put a photo of Billy Joe Jenkins next to Susie Lamplugh, and you'll see straight away what I'm talking about. It's the same with Anne Frank and Princess Margaret. Princess Margaret being the older. It doesn't make a difference because.
But what about? I know this is going over the pond and everything, but I suppose you're like a girl with two bananas when you start talking about Sandy Hook.
So funny enough, Sandy Hook is one of those that I haven't really gone into in great detail. The Boston bombing I did, but Sandy Hook isn't one that I have for the simple reason that it was sort of done to death anyway, and on the face of it, until I really started to look, I had nothing new to add, so I didn't really go there, do you know?
Yeah. But I'm sure you've seen one or two of the articles and one or two of the videos that have been around regarding Sandy Hook, and I think everybody should watch them anyway. So, because what it does is, perhaps you've not investigated it, but it does reinforce what you're saying.
It does. The same actors, I say, appearing time and time again. One of the actors from Sandy Hook, she was also in the Boston bomb, wasn't she? She was the woman who supposedly lost her legs, and they trace back to someone quite high up in the American government as well. You have two basics. You have like what I call your famous crisis actors. These are people such as Princess Margaret playing Anne Frank and that. And then you have your lower level ones. Those who sort of took part in the in the Glasgow bin lorry nonsense, and they turn up everywhere. And it seems to be these are the ones who are working things like that. They're also involved in the cancer con. What I call the cancer con, and it could well be that this is the way they're giving like carte blanche to sort of do the cons and these GoFundMe pages and that, and then they're aired in the national papers so as they get a good return on them, and as a form of payment, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting stuff, Chris. We've got a couple of comments here from the chat room which I'd like to pass on. Mahatma Malevolence is asking, other than images, is there any evidence that the royals are all actors? And Susie's thrown in the comment, clones, vampirism, bloodbaths, need one go on, it's all there.
Clones, most definitely, without doubt. Now, once again, if I spoke without them speaking in front of me, but I've written all this. They've been cloning people. There's evidence of cloning people from the start, from the start of the end of the 19th century. They was working with clones and whatnot, and certainly I think it's 1926 that they've been able to clone a person. Supposedly these. There was the block put on these cloning programs, but that's only the official. It's like MK Ultra, isn't it? There was block put on that, but it still goes on to this day. So yeah, clones without a doubt, most definitely. Prosthetics are also used a lot. you can see these. Now, I did have an example. Just in the Daily Mail a couple of days ago, there was an actress, I've never heard of her, but she was the Mail sort of challenged people to say who this famous actress was, because she was dressed as a man, and she looked completely like a man, and I couldn't figure out who it was, because I didn't know the actress, so I had to go and find the answer, and then and I sort of I still can't remember her name, but you would never think that she was a woman. And then you look at let's take there was a Christmas advert, and I didn't see it because I don't really watch TV, but there was a Christmas about a family who had a sick tiger sneak into their house, and these Christmas adverts, they're a bit long running, aren't they? And apparently what happens is this family hope this tiger sort of recuperate and whatnot, and they'll become friends. Now the thing is, the tiger was all CGI, complete CGI. You never know tiger at all. Yet you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know, because I did look at this advert on the Mail website just out of interest when it said it was CGI, because when I saw the picture for it, I just thought it's a normal time, So this is the kind of thing they can do. For some reason, and I don't know what that reason is, there's been various theories put forward for it. For some reason, these actors have to be recognisable. Okay, like they'll have their nose changed on, and it's very easy to change a photograph. There's software to alter faces, but they've still got to remain recognisable. Now, I don't know exactly why that is. A lot of people have ventured that it's because the so-called the monsters, really, they have to let us know what they're up to, and by doing that and no one protesting about it, we're giving them the go-ahead to carry on what they're doing. And for want of a better explanation, that one works. But I say these people, they're never changed so much that they're totally unrecognisable. You understand? And that's how you are able to recognise and say, yes, that is so-and-so. But once again, clones, yes, most definitely. Cloning program. There's a lot of Jimmy Savile clones out there, and the transgender. You have a lot of women who are men as well. Now, a good example of a Jimmy Savile clone would be him from the Inbetweeners. You know that program, the Inbetweeners, about the four schoolboys.
I know Inbetweeners. Which one?
Harrison, who plays the tall, lanky one.
Neil.
Neil, that's it. Yeah. He's also. I might have the answer in front of me, actually. He's without doubt a Jimmy Savile clone. You just got to put their, two sides of their faces together and you see that. But he's also... So
Neil off the Inbetweeners is a clone of Jimmy Savile?
Without a doubt. And he also...
I've got to throw some doubt in there, though, Chris. When you say without a doubt, I can't as somebody who's trying to sort of rationalise this, I've got to throw some doubt in there. I mean, there don't seem to be any...
he doesn't go now then, how's that?
No, I understand that, but it's a really huge leap to make.
Sure, but there's a lot of them. He's got Neil and Ralph Little is also a clone, and the woman. This Neil, I'll get his name in a minute because I've got it in front of me. He's all Blake Harrison. His name is. He's also Jessica Knappett, who's an actress. And if you say you're going to look at it, this is who the fuck I don't know if I'm meant to say that or not, but who the F are you? It's all in that article here, and they starred in the Inbetweeners film. Jessica Knappett is the girl who gets off with Neil in the end. in the film, and they're the same person without a doubt. I say, if I could send you something on here, I don't know if I can. I can save it all right now. Is it possible to send over Skype while we're on?
Yeah, if you just drop the images into Skype, we should be able to share those on the article.
How do I do that? I'll do it by text, can I? I think I can.
Yeah, if you just drop those images in the box where you'd normally type the text, if you want.
When you say just drop them in, it's not that easy. Not for me. I'm absolutely useless on the.
Oh right, yeah. Before that, if you click the speech bubble in the top right-hand corner of the Skype window.
Now I've just got to find my desktop.
No worries, mate.
And I'll say I'll send you Jessica Knappett and over right now. And I've got it here.
Yeah, you were talking about clonings and saying that it was so obvious. When one for me. If there was one incident that stood out in the last year, it was during the election when Hillary very nearly collapsed. She was rushed into this black SUV, taken to her daughter's, and even though she was at death's door, she appeared to emerge about 20 minutes later looking 20 years younger and 20 pounds lighter.
Yeah, and that was proved. There's a video on YouTube about that, and that was proved that that's a different person to the other Hillary Clinton, shall we say, because it's hard to say which is the real one and which isn't. But yeah, the video on YouTube just come out about the various people who played Hillary Clinton. And all them really rich Saddam Hussein had double, Hitler had doubles. It's nothing new, you know. In fact, I just read a very good bit on how Hitler escaped from Germany at the end of the war, and I'm just sending this over.
Oh, well, yeah. Is that where he went in a submarine to Argentina, I believe?
But it wasn't as easy as that. And this article really went into. It took me nearly 3 hours to read it because it's almost book length, and it's fascinating. Have you got that photo?
Yes, thanks, mate.
Yeah, well, that's only part of it. I thought it was a bit. I have to send you the other bit. It's just a case of saving them while trying to rub it on at the same time. Can you see one? Yeah, that's just getting up it and them in the in the film together as well.
Oh yeah. I'd have no idea who that was because I don't watch telly or films, Chris. So yeah.
No, I'd never heard of Jessica Knappett. I won't tell you how I get all these photos, and I say because I never heard of her because that would be it's not a secret, but I don't like the security services who will be listening, knowing how I'm able to obtain things, you know. Nothing illegal, but before I started, after I found out that if anything, he's got to be a clone of Jimmy Savile, and then from there I found I've got this Jessica Knappett, and without a doubt I'm going to send you another one through now, hopefully. The thing is, I don't know. I'm not really that good at multitasking, you know. But yeah, if you go, if people go to that article, they will find.
Andy, you muted, mate.
Yes, I was correct. Well spotted there, Jason.
Again, that's twice today. I'm going to have to give you a final written warning.
Okay, I'd accept that final written warning, and I'll advance you and I quit. But yeah, no, seriously. I mean, one thing people might say to counter what you've said there, Chris, is, well, obviously these high-profile public figures, they all have body doubles, surely you're just making such an issue out of nothing. They're just doubles.
It's not that easy. I mean, the old saying is that everyone has a double somewhere in the world. But if you look at the actual science of that, that's not true, because it's actually less than that. But even if you think you talk about 1 in 7 billion people, when you talk about a double that is good enough to fool anybody. So you say doubles, are they doubles or are they clones? Henry Macau, he did an interesting article on it, because a lot of these people are supposedly sperm donors, and this all goes back to the MK Ultra program, and these women they're being reared in captivity, if you like, and they are there purposely for these powerful people to breed with, and afterwards then, they're after so many, or when they get too old or whatever, then they're sort of knocked off, having never known life, if you like, and all the people who spoke out about the MK program, they all talk about children in cages and whatnot, hundreds of children just locked in cages, all specifically bred for purpose, and that purpose might just be to be murdered in front of other children to scramble their brain. It seems something so horrific.
The practice that went on in MK Ultra, which have openly been admitted to by the governments that took part in it, it's no longer a state secret. They were completely barbaric. One case that was centred on MK Ultra, or it was a big part of it, which has actually made the mainstream media recently, with a 4-part interview with Miles Johnson on BBC iPlayer, is the case of Max Spears. Have you looked at that at all, Chris? Because it's
I have, I've got evidence on that as well. Total bollocks, that is. Max Spires, as Max Spires once again never existed now. The France, the last big France terrorist attack, the so-called attack back in November 2015. Max Spires, he appeared along with his mother and as the victims. Mm-hmm. Now, luckily enough, I'd already saved these photographs, because I was going to do a follow-up, which is 3/4 of the way written, on the victims, showing who the victims are and what other things they appeared on. And as soon as that Max Spires came out, I thought, I know that, because they used the exact same photo that they'd been used as him being a France victim under a different name. So I went looking for more information on his photo, and the photo's gone completely. There is no reference to it being him now being a victim of that. I've spoken on the telephone to his girlfriend, well, supposedly his girlfriend, but he seems to have had a lot of girlfriends. And she has ISIS tattooed on her top of her arm, but lovely woman to talk to, lovely woman to look at, but she's talking total bollocks. Just trying to figure out, I couldn't get direct answers off her, from her. And what she was saying made no sense, but she said she was brought up in the MK Ultra program, and she never saw anyone outside of the program until she was 17, and then she managed to escape and what have you, and it doesn't make sense how she was sort of so well adjusted for someone who'd been brought up as a slave, if you like. Mm-hmm. She was imprisoned in Germany, in a camp in Germany, and And she said she escaped, but then she escaped to her family. Well, that doesn't make any sense, And a lot of things she was saying didn't make any sense whatsoever. So I say she was lovely to look at, but talking total bullshit. And I can spot bullshit a mile off, to be honest. And she professed not to know that Max Spires was also used, or photograph was used as being one of the victims of that French terrorist attack. But I'd retained a photo, and I'd put it in an article long before Max Spires was even heard of. The article's called Really Poo Poo. Because right at the end, I used that photograph just to draw attention to, I was writing a follow-up to that article about the victims, like I did on the victims of the Boston bomb. And I used that particular photo, so, how do I get that photo before it's released as a Max Spires photo, so you look for it now, and it's gone. I had it saved under its own serial number, actually. So I typed the serial number of the photo in, and it came up as Max Spires. So any mention of him being a finance victim has since disappeared.
Right. Did you actually watch that BBC documentary, Chris? Because I thought it was quite fascinating, the attitude of the reporter who was supposedly doing an investigation.
No, I haven't. But the fact that the BBC and the national press are reporting on it makes it suspicious anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, I know Miles Johnston quite well, who did the film. I know quite a few people tried to warn him against engaging with the mainstream media, because when he's done it in the past, they conspired to make him look a bit of a Charlie. There was that great UFO conspiracy on Channel 4, I think it was 2015, in which, everybody who was interviewed had to wear a silly hat apart from Timothy Good. Timothy Good, one of the most respected men in the field, was made to look a bit of a Charlie with the editing of the interview. Yeah, Max went ahead with this, and there was the investigative reporter pulling faces towards the camera, making out that Miles was a bit of a cuckoo and thought she was part of the New World Order, maybe, and it was just a complete hit piece, I thought, and there was no merit in any supposed investigation that was supposed to have took place. It just shows how lame the BBC really are these days.
No, what it shows to me is that the BBC would make the Charlie of you. Now, the BBC, after the appeal, I had a BBC filmmaker getting in contact with me and wanted me to appear. Mm-hmm. But it was quite obvious that he wanted to appear to portray me as a troll.
Yeah.
Which I am not and I have never been. And I said, like, so if you're looking to sort of make me a villain, make me out to be a villain and whatnot, it's not on and we're not having it. So he said, no, we saw something else. So I said, on that basis, as long as you know that I get nothing is allowed to be broadcast until I've seen it, and I will be recording, or I have someone there recording all the footage at the same time for my own personal protection, then we can go ahead. And of course, then he didn't want to know. So, for someone to sort of make themselves look a proper Charlie, wearing a silly hat and whatnot, that in itself is suspicious, because why would you do that? Why? And I mean, the BBC have reason to make, if you like, conspiracy theorists out to be proper Charlies and that. So why play along with them? Why let them get away with it? I mean, he wasn't no chump. But what I'll also say is, I have thousands and thousands and thousands of photographs and thousands and thousands and thousands of notes. Where's all Max Spires' notes? We keep it all in his head.
Well, yeah, wasn't there something about his computer was interfered with and most of his stuff on there went missing between his death and his effects arriving home?
Well, if all my stuff went missing off this guy, I mean, I had 2 computers stolen, don't forget, but I still retained all the stuff.
Yeah, there's ways and means of recovering the data. If it's been on there, it's still there, isn't it?
And who would be silly enough to put their life's work, just on one computer and nowhere else?
Yeah, there's some.
Yeah. He has no. There's no research, no sources, no nothing. Yeah. I mean, I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but no one would pay for me to go to Poland to give a talk. Where's all the money coming from? And this girlfriend of his, they were splitting between there and America. And well, like I said to you, anyone who's got money in this game, it can't be right because there is no money in this game. If anything, everything he's done to prevent you from earning money. So where again, I mean, it's not cheap to fly to America, but according to his girlfriend, they were splitting back and forward. They're saying he's been flown all over the world to give talks. And I've never even heard of him until I've read about him in the Daily Mail. Well, that's highly suspicious. But on top of that, and I'm not going to say now who everybody is, but I have names for who everybody is, which will be in the revealed in the first part of the bookend trilogy.
Well,
most certainly. Also, his granddad was meant to be a famous British actor, Percy someone or other. He was in the Mutiny on the Bounty with Marlon Brando and whatnot. And yeah, his mother can't afford a gravestone. This famous British actor who went to Hollywood can't even afford a gravestone. Makes no sense whatsoever. I know who Vanessa Bates is, and someone when I revealed who Vanessa Bates is, you know,
has this become an obsession for you? Do you think it's not something that you perhaps could? I don't know. I know it's something when you're really onto something, you really can't pull it back. But I mean, this has got a huge effect on your life, and not just your life as well. I mean, I know you've got a daughter that I don't know if she still lives with you, or and a grandson as well, which I know you cherish and you love. Great down there. What is it that keeps you going, and what is it that stops you from saying, I'm just going to concentrate on what's important. I've tried to give my message, and the body of work's out there. So what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated?
Well, motivation, that's a hard thing to find these days. When, it's okay to say, oh yeah, we're right behind you, and whatnot, but like, when you sort of up against this massive machine,
Can you get a bit closer to Mike, please, Chris?
Sorry, when you're up against this great big, is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, cheers, thanks.
When you're up against this massive machine, like I've been in the 2 court cases, it's all very well saying, oh yeah, we're behind you, but it's me who's having to live it, it's me who's having to in danger of having my grandson, or that's past now, but at the time, in danger of him being taken on fabricated evidence, so. It's really sometimes it's really hard to keep motivated, but there's not a lot of choice really. You have to keep going, and it's important. Quite often feel I'm fighting a losing battle, and then things happen. Like the support that's come in and the donations since that court case. you sort of think, well, maybe I'm not wasting my time, but at times it is most definitely most difficult. I think, why am I doing this? I'm just getting myself, deep in shit, and people are taking notice, but no one's doing nothing about it,
I know that feeling because we do get similar feelings from time. Well, certainly I do. I've only been involved 2.5 years now, but there's times when I think, oh, screw this, and I'm just wasting my time. People are not taking any notice. But then something happens, somebody comes along, or a guest that I've been trying to get hold of, or I just happen to meet somebody and they say, oh, I really appreciate what you're doing, keep up the great work. And you think, well, okay, if it's doing something for one person, if it's making them look in a different way at the world, then maybe we are doing some good, and you keep plodding on and you find the energy to keep going on. But without that support, it's bloody hard work.
It is, and this, in fact, to bring this back to Max Fires and that, he was supposedly a leading light, but I've never heard of him now. I've heard of most of them. I've been in his well over 4 years now, and I know. And even if I don't know him personally, I know of the names. Well, I've never even heard of Max Spires, so to try and tell me, knowing what I know, that people are willing to fly him over to speak at these conferences and whatnot, you're talking total rubbish, because that just doesn't happen, especially someone who's not a known name. And not might happen if you're David Icke, but as a general rule, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen, because there aren't the funds there to do it.
No, yeah, I've often wondered about where the funding comes from for some of these conference visits, but I was aware of Max way before the mysterious death thing. I'd seen several talks that he'd done at conferences, interviews he'd done with Miles Johnson. He'd been on with Joanna Summerscales when Miles and Joe worked together. And he'd been putting out quite a lot of material, and it had got quite a cult following in the kind of super soldier world.
Yeah, well, that's another term, the super soldier. You got to remember that you can't suddenly just be there one day. You have to infiltrate. You understand? So he had to be seen. There's no point in saying, oh, this Max Spires, who was a leading liar, or UFO specialist or whatever, has been bumped off because he knew too much. You've got to put in a bit of a legwork, But that legwork, it's not a full-time occupation. When you're given the information you'll need to go and give it to, or give it, interview someone or whatever, other people do all the legwork for you, and you just turn up at whatever conference you're booked to do and whatnot, and it takes a few months, and suddenly you're recognised as being someone in the alternative media, but that doesn't make it so.
Yeah, we've got a question in the chat room from Aid, but he wants Andy to ask it. So if you can get to chat room, Andy.
Oh, okay, then I'll ask it, Aid. What does Chris think about the 6 monthly reports that Rowan Atkinson is dead, and despite him reportedly being alive and well?
Once again, I haven't looked into it. I've heard the stories that he isn't, and it could well be possible. Possible, but I haven't looked into it.
Well,
last time we spoke to it was about a year ago, because I noticed it because it came up on my timeline as one of them on Shipbook about one of them memory things that we've got you on. So it was just about a year ago. Now you were having a real bad, a perceived bad time, but you were getting a lot of trolling going on. How's that? Is it settled down, or is it escalated? The security hardware, I mean, that's one word, that we've got on the site is second to none.
And this is another thing that the Iceland host give us. They give us freebies and whatnot, and a lot of technical help. So the trolls don't get through. My moderators are top rate, and they can weed out the trolls who are trying to be clever, and they keep records of everything, and they cross-reference and whatnot. So even when we have trolls on there, we know who the trolls are, and they're actually trolling. Because how trolls operate, they like them expires, if you like. They get in there and they make out like they're all on side and whatnot, and then start causing a bit of dissent every now and again once they're trusted. So my moderators know all the trolls that are on the side, but at the moment not causing trouble, if you like, just trying to get in and be accepted as a genuine reader and whatnot. So any troll who sort of oh, you're a bald-headed bastard and what, you talk shite and whatnot, straight away their comments not going to get not going to pass moderation anyway, unless the moderators are bored and want to have some fun with them. And so really they don't I don't get that much trouble, if you like, because they know they're wasting their time. It's just they can sit there 15 minutes typing a message that ain't going to see the light of day. I'm not going to read it because I don't bother going in the trash unless I'm alerted by one of the moderators to have a look at something that's been put in there. So they don't really bother the site so much. What they do, they follow people around who will talk about me or whatever on another site and troll that site, try and rub it to me that way. But as a general rule, they're no, they're just scum of the earth, aren't they?
So you're still getting a lot of support then?
Yeah, I was surprised at how much, I say, these last couple of months, since Skip Hill, people have been great, and I don't need to be, told that I'm great constantly, but to have it recognised, if you like, every now and then, just so you know that I'm not, I'm not just wasting my time here, is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I have noticed a lot of support for you. You do have a quite a big following, and there's a lot of people out there that are prepared to put their money where their mouth is as well, because you're paying £300 a month, and it's all on donations and stuff. So,
and it's been that way.
And that's simple.
And every month it's been paid. There's been some times when I've had to because look, I can't afford next month money, and people have come through, and I say it's at least over 2 years now that I've been paying this £300 a month, and it's always got paid. So, and on top of that, I'm in debt and whatnot, but I'm not starving, put it that way. But there's certainly not money to. If someone says to me, come up to Manchester or whatever to give a talk, I couldn't afford without having the expenses paid. And no one ever said come to Poland to give a talk. And I think I've been at it a lot longer than Max Byers certainly has. Put it that way. Yeah, we're supposed to believe that I say that people are flying all over the world just to listen to his talks. Yeah, these conferences and that, they're not like a pop concert or whatever, where there's most to be earned.
Well, Chris, if we've got to be suspicious of everything, and I understand that position, we've got to be suspicious of everything, but also, the only way that we're going to get ourselves out of this is by trusting each other and trusting in people who are trustworthy. And so,
that's exactly what the social workers said to me. they say, like, you've got to trust us. And I say, how can I trust you?
I didn't say
it'd be nice in an ideal world, but the fact is, the alternative media is dominated by people who are not what they think.
Well, I concur with that.
I have the evidence on that as well.
Let me just tell you this. Last year I contacted you and asked you to come on our show first time, okay, last year. And the reason I contacted you is because I'd been listening to the Richie Allen show. Now, Richie Allen is now trying to claim that they are the only independent media and everybody else has gone all dead Donald Trump and everything, which obviously we haven't. But, we're probably not big enough independent media for him to know that we exist. But anyway, he's now claiming the moral high ground on independent media. Right, and the reason that I got in touch with you last year is because somebody had texted in or done a tweet or something and asked about you, and he said Chris Spivey called David Cameron a paedophile without any evidence, and that's why I won't have him on. And then I thought to myself, well, this is a guy who's sponsored by a guy who's telling us that, we've got lizards everywhere. And yet he's not even open to anything that you've got to say. So, which is why I then contacted you, because I thought, well, I think we should get Chris Spivey on.
Yeah. Just let me clarify one point. I didn't actually say David Cameron is a paedophile. Matt Taylor said I said that David Cameron is a paedophile.
No, but Richie Allen said that you said it. Now, that's a fact. Richie Allen said that you said it. Okay.
Richie Allen, he's lying if he said I said that.
He did say that you said it, and so that's the reason that I thought, I think we should get Chris Spivey on, because let's give him this opportunity. Let's just show the alternative media. Now, Richie Allen is claiming that alternative media is just them now, right? There's David. You either believe David Icke or you're a racist bigot, and you've gone all right wing. Well, we're not. We've not gone all right wing. We understand everybody's point of view, and we understand everybody's story as well, which is why I invited you on. So I just wanted just to make that point. That alternative media isn't just down, independent media is not just the Richie Allen show. That we do independent media, proper independent media. We've not got adverts that we're going to play about, living in the hills of Spain.
No, absolutely not. We've got a quick question, if I could just slot it in before the end, Chris. And then Mahatma's asking, does Chris think that the recent alleged death by road accident of Prince Corsini in London is a hoax? It's not one I'm familiar with.
No, me neither. I can't. I'm not familiar with that. In my defence, of these last few months, I've been devoted to this bookends that I'm writing, and I haven't been keeping up on current affairs as much as I should have done. But I haven't heard of stuff that I can't say.
No, that's a fair comment, mate. Okay, well we've got about 3 minutes before we play out with what I think is a particularly apt song. So. Could you give out any links that you've got where people can find your work, Chris, and give us your closing thoughts?
Well, yeah, I'm on www.chrisspivey.org. That's Spivey. www.chrisspivey.org. And articles you will look up for Diane are Genesis and The Night of the Living Dead. The third one is not completed yet. Also, Where Does That Leave Madeline? That's one to look for. And Let's Go Play with the Asters. There's a lot of information in that. As for the alternative media, just get back to what you were saying there. Not one reported on The fact that I got not guilty on the images, found not guilty on all 3 counts, not one of the bigger names in the alternative media covered that at all. When someone said that I was working for a 9-5, they all jumped on it. That there speaks for itself. So when you talk about unity, I mean that the fact that I got not guilty on them images was a major coup by any standards. Okay, and the fact that I could defend the social workers, I could call the social workers lying, and the police collaboration in it, and this isn't just on my word. I've put all the evidence on my site. Yeah, I say, you could have heard a pin drop about that. Someone unknown made some wild claim that I work for 9-5, and they're all reporting on it.
Well, listen, Chris, I mean, we will always listen to you because, even if you don't agree, it's absolutely fascinating. I'm sure Andy agrees as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you back on the show again, Chris. We'd like to wish you all the best going forward and hope that you resolve some of the issues where you've been getting attacked by the establishment and by the trolls and what have you. And we hope that you finally make the breakthrough that you need. I'd like to say, folks, thanks for listening. It's been a great evening. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to hearing all about the happy diet from Not Dr. Tamara and Tina straight after this. So we'll say good night, and we'll be back next week. Good night, everyone.
Cheers. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Chris. Good night, man. And we'll play out with, it seems so appropriate, Tom Waits and Chocolate Jesus.